Hey, beautiful people of the internet, my name is Ryan, and 2018, if I'm being honest, was a shit show. It was a complete shit show. There were some good highs in there. My sister got married. I learned a lot and grew as a person. I got this nice, beautiful lighting for my YouTube channel now. I spent a lot of time with family. I came back to YouTube. I read some really good books. I did some good writing. But the lows were pretty low too. My stepdad Dean died just last week. My grandma died. The mental lows were maybe as bad as they've ever been. I had a lot of days, just complete days lost to anxiety or depression. And a lot of that stuff is out of my control. But there was one thing in 2018 that was in my control that didn't go so well. And that was I failed every single one of my New Year's resolutions from last year. I wanted to read 75 books this year, and I'm not even going to come close to that one. I wanted to write 12 short stories, and I fell short of that one too. Here's the thing though, partially I did fail because I didn't do enough to make those things happen, but I also partially failed because when shit would hit the fan this year, at different times I chose to spend more time with my family and friends and the people that I love, and I don't regret that at all. But what that tells us is that my resolutions from last year were not formulated very well. If when something completely out of my control happened, it knocked my resolutions to the ground and I didn't have a chance to finish them. My goals weren't very good ones. They were reliant upon things that I could not control. Long story short, I'm going to change the way that I set my goals for 2019, and I'm going to let you know what they are. Let's do it. My 2019 reading goals with a whole bunch of little life goals thrown in there too. First and foremost, I want to open a book every single day of 2019. That is a far stretch from some of the reading goals that I've had in past years. As I've talked about in this channel, I've read 100 books in a year, or like last year, this year technically still, I set out to read 75 books. I've always put a number on it, and I'm not going to do that this year. I don't want to know the number of days of 2018 that I did not crack a single book. I feel like a lot of the reading that I got done, I did in these big spurts, where I would just read ravenously for a couple weeks. I was really sporadic. This next year, I want to be consistent. Even if I only read a single sentence per day, screw that. Even if I just sit in a chair with a book in my lap and I open it and then I close it, I am making the bet that I am going to be a happier and probably better reader if I do that every single day rather than trying to strive for some number goal of total books per year. Second, I want to do the exact same thing except for writing. If I'm going to do this for reading, I'm going to do it for writing as well. I always get to the end of a calendar year and think, man, I could have done more writing this year. And I think that might always be true, because I think you could always probably squeak in more writing, same as you could always squeak in more reading. But again, in 2018, writing was not even close to a daily habit for me. In 2019, I want to sit in front of a computer or a blank piece of paper every single day for this whole year. Even if I don't write a single sentence, I want writing to be a part of my daily habits. In the past, I have always been very finish line oriented with my writing. I would work on something and then it would get done and then I would be completely lost on what was coming next. And I think that long term, over the next 20, 40, 60 years, I'm going to be a better writer if the day after that I finish something, I can still sit down in the chair and get some writing done. I'm serious. I don't care if I finish a single freaking piece of writing this year, as long as I sit in the chair in front of my writing apparatus each day. I am going to call that a success. In short, if you haven't noticed, I am changing my perspective a little bit for 2019. And I've actually started doing this in the last couple of days already, because what is January 1st but just an arbitrary date, and I'm already liking it a lot. The pressure is off when there is not some arbitrary goal to reach for, and I feel free to try whatever I need to try, do whatever I need to do, if the bar is really low. And all I have to do is open a book and sit in front of a computer. That may feel a little bit like selling out. I think the year that I read 100 books, if I were to look at this resolution, I would be like, man, that kid's selling out. You could always just you need to put a really big number up on the screen and shoot for that, and even if you fail, you'll read a lot. I'm willing to bet, though, that that is not the healthiest way to do this, and that making it more a part of my daily habit is the healthy way. Instead of choosing an accomplishment, I am choosing a process. And if any accomplishments get done in the process, that is just a cherry on top. Okay, those are the really big ones, but I do have a few extra non-reading or writing related goals that I want to talk about real quick. I want to run 2,600 miles in 2019, something I didn't quite get to this year. The funny thing is, I know I just talked about not putting a number on my goals, but the thing about running is that I'm already there. Running is already a part of my daily process. Even on the days when I don't run, it's because it would be better for my running long term if I don't run on that day So I'll take like 1 day off a week. Like that, it's not an issue with running that it's not a part of my daily life. It's probably too much a part of my daily life, to be honest. So I can use a number goal there because it's not the problem. I want to budget more frequently. I want to get better at doing the kind of like preventative stuff for the things that I own, like my truck. I want to get really good at not just solving problems when they appear, but like preempting problems and being a good steward of what I have, if that makes sense. Yeah, those are the big ones. I will say, if you've stuck around this long in the video, thank you. You'll be rewarded. Give me 1 second. Okay, there are a couple of books that I want to guarantee that I read in 2019. Books that I, for some reason or another, I really want to strive to finish this year. I'm going to read a whole bunch of other books as well, but these are the 5 books that I really want to get to. So first, I should say, is a book that I don't own, but enough of you have told me that I need to read it that I should own it here very soon, and that is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. The second book that I do not own that is on that list is actually The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I heard that she's coming out with a sequel this year. I need to read the first one. It was a whole event when the Hulu? When the series came out on TV. So I want to be in on that event. Okay, the third, fourth, and fifth books. I have owned this book. I've owned all 3 of these books for a couple of years, and I have not yet read them, and it's time that changes. First is Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri. I've owned this book for so long. It's short. It's really good. I need to read it. I guess fourth on the list would be another book that you guys have talked about a lot. That is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. And last but not least would be The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon. I read Wonder Boys this year. It took the top of my head off. I have no reason to think that this book shouldn't do the exact same. I will say it's a little bit long. It's like almost 700 pages, but I'm going to make it a point to read this book this year. No idea when during the year these books are going to happen, but they're going to happen. Okay, that is going to do it for my 2019 reading goals. I want to know what your goals are. Do you have any specific reading goals? If you have a number, that's okay. This is just what works for me this year. If you have a number, I want to hear about it. I've talked to some of you already about what it is over on one of the live streams. Speaking of live streams, when this video goes out, we'll have a couple days or a day maybe until this very special live stream. We're going to do a New Year's Eve extravaganza with a special guest, actually. Live stream. So you should, I don't know what time yet on New Year's Eve, but you should check the channel for that. I'm also working through those Harry Potter books, Hogwarts for the holidays. I got a little delayed, I'll be honest. I mentioned earlier that my grandma died. That delayed the videos a little bit, but I'm still working on them. I'm still reading. I actually need to film one here in probably about an hour or tomorrow. So I'm still cranking those out, and you can find those on the channel. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know about your goals or your resolutions, and I will talk to you in another video. Best wishes.